they'll get to like maybe 800 feet of it they'll use, and the last 200 feet, well, they do long takes, so we'll just give that back to the lab. And then we would come along doing low budget films and we'd buy those 200 feet. And sometimes you'd buy, these were called short ends, because that's exactly what they were, the short ends of a really good roll. And they usually had the name of the film. I think one of the films we did here was all the money, all the short ends from the last Zorro film, The Mark of Zorro, right? You can see that on all the footage, right? So the trouble with the short ends is you only have so much time. And like I had one scene where I had to come in a door, and he says, we only got 50 feet. You think you can do like 3 takes of that, Jay? Yeah, come in 3 times. So I did 3 times, and then they ran out of footage. And that's how they made movies, with every spare foot of footage they could find, because they wanted the 35 millimeter look. And it still looks pretty good. Maybe a love scene, or you have a shower scene, and they wouldn't show anything for the American movies because they didn't want a wider audience of an R. Or in this particular case, this movie got an X when it first came out, and then because movies started getting more progressive, movies like Basic Instinct, right, and Fatal Attraction, that was very much more violent sex and very full frontal. And we come to that point by the 90s, and then it just all went away. Humor forgives everything. If you were a little offended by the violence or the sexiness, okay, it's all in good, clean fun. You know? It's kind of funny, you know. But these girls were all very, very shy, and even Linnea, before we had to do the kissing scene on the sofa, she pulled me aside. She was kind of nervous. She said, "I'm really getting nervous about this." Why? She says, "I'm afraid about doing this scene." And she's done a lot of nudity. You ever saw her in what Return of the Living Dead?
Yeah.
Full frontal, everything.
Yeah, she's the dancing.
But she's not good with intimacy. She was a naturalist, you know, grew up as a nudist, so she was comfortable doing that, right? But she said, "I'm really concerned because I'm afraid it's going to be really, you know, erotic." I thought that was really cute that she would, you know,
feel like I'm counting on it.
Yeah, and I said, "Don't worry about it. You and I will agree on what we can do together and what we would be willing to do together." And that's always an agreement the actors have to have when they're on camera, because the director will get them to go as far as they possibly can, you know.
And now there's intimacy coordinators. So.
Yeah, that's something they never had. Intimacy coordinators, there were no such things. It was you and the director. Well, he was a real guy. He was a real guy. He never understood why people were afraid of him. You know, when they come to screenings, and they wouldn't want to get too close to him to shake his hand, but you can see he had a gentlemanly quality, you know. Yeah. But his reputation preceded him. That's the problem.
Yeah. He played Leatherface, you know that, right?
Texas Chainsaw.
The original Leatherface.
But he always had that terrible, you know, veil of bloody cloth over his face, which is the eyes, so you didn't recognize him in full beard.
It's like, have you heard that story like Tarantino? He's talking to a producer when he was making Pulp Fiction. They're like, he gave his list of actors who he wanted for every character. And he's like, and then the producer would be like, "Well, why didn't you get Johnny Depp for this character and like another famous actor for this guy?" He's like, "Yeah, I guess, but but do you honestly believe the movie would do better if I cast those people?" And he's like, "Not at all, but I would feel more comfortable if you did." Like, it's just like I did everything right as a producer by like doing the sure thing.
Well, you know, a quick Tarantino story. He used to be a video clerk at Video Archives, which was a rental house on Sepulveda in Manhattan Beach. And so I was living in Manhattan Beach at the time, and I would always go there to rent. And he was always there, just like right out of Reservoir Dogs. The black suit, black thin tie, soul stash, you know, cup of coffee and a cigarette going, hey, Jay, did you see Caught with Rich Conant? You put it, okay, what's the jail cell say? He was like Spielberg. He's film incarnate. He grew up on films, and that's all he knew. So I would invite him, and he would come and watch us make movies like this. In fact, I think he was on set for this one. And was just like a kid with popcorn. He was just a fan, right? And it was the most amazing thing that he would be working at this place, video shop, and it had the most interesting, eclectic blend of movies there, and he would choose those, right? And he worked 12-hour days, and I always thought of him as a quirk. He's kind of quirky, right? About a year, he leaves the place. It closes up, I think. And a year later, I get a call from out of the blue. Hey, Jake, can you come down to Columbia to Miramax and audition for a film I'm doing? And I say, what's the film? The Reservoir Dogs. So, yeah, oh, sure. And he wanted me to audition for the Michael Madsen role. And I wasn't the right kind of menace for that role. There really wasn't a role for me in there, But here I'm walking in to the studio at Columbia, and you got Harvey and Bob Weinstein are there, and Quentin's right there, and Harvey Keitel is right there, and I'm reading for these guys, and I'm blown away by the fact that he did this. But here's the point of it. You think he's a nebbish, you think he's weird, and he's doing all that stuff, but every night after his 12 hours of shift, he's writing Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs and Natural Born Killers, right? And the last one was, he did 3 or 4 of the first ones he did. He wrote all 4 scripts before he sent it anyway. But the reason he made Reservoir Dogs is because Harvey Keitel came to Video Archives one day and wanted a movie. And Quentin Tarantino had the movie. But he told him, you know what? It's out. But if you give me your address, I'll drop it by your house tonight. So he gave him the address. So Quentin went to his place that night, left it in a bag with his script underneath it for Reservoir Dogs, with a little note in it. And there was this, dear Mr. Keitel, I'm so sorry to do this. I know it's a cliche and everything, but look, I wrote this for you. It's a character-driven piece. It all happens in one place. It can be shot very simply. I don't need that much money, and you'd be perfect for the lead. Some night when you're bored, read the first 10 pages. That's all I ask. And about 2 months go by, and that night comes up, and he reaches for the script. So he reads the first 10 pages, and another 10, and another 10. And at page 30 or 35, he picks up the phone and he calls Quentin. He says, okay, what do you want? He says, I need $1.5 million. No, you need $3 million, and I'm going to be your executive producer, and I'm playing Mr. White, or whoever it was. And that was the deal. And so Harvey Keitel got him that deal. But he wouldn't have gotten the deal if it wasn't the great script that it was. And that was how it all happened for him.
Although I imagine him putting on his readers and Madonna's big dick.
Yeah.
That is good.
Yeah. So you never know who's going to get on top in this business.
I think well, thanks for coming, sticking around for
Hi, guys.
70 minutes. But everyone else